Federal government launches Jubilee Fellows 2.0 to create 20,000 jobs.
Vice President Shettima decries judicial setbacks hindering anti-corruption drive.
Nigeria Labour Congress engages education unions to end lingering industrial crisis.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall focus on building skills for jobs for young Nigerians.
You know, alarming has become the word. I mean, the way technical and practical skills are disappearing across Nigeria. Every sector seems to be feeling the heat, whether power sector, manufacturing, or even construction.
Exactly, Victor. And many industries are struggling to find skilled hands for the most essential roles. Say, for example, tilers, plumbers, POP installers, technicians, whatever field, even chemical ecologists.
Now, many firms end up importing workers from other countries to get the job done. It is not just embarrassing, it's becoming costly. We are losing jobs, draining resources, and missing chances to grow our economy, all because our workforce simply is not equipped for the opportunities that exist.
Exactly, Victor. Maybe you should add that we're also falling prey to those who do not really know the skill, but who pretend, and end up, maybe spoiling the job. Yeah, exactly, and making us spend so much money. So, but there's hope. Experts say it begins with changing how we value skills, reviving training centers, strengthening polytechnics, and making skill-based careers appealing once more.
And you know what's encouraging? Initiatives like the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows program are already setting that tone, connecting young graduates to real work experiences, digital skills, and entrepreneurship, for instance.
Absolutely. Now, the NJFP's, if you want to call it that, new phase, that is the 2.0, is building an ecosystem where young people can create opportunities, not just chase them, plus with partners like the federal government, the EU, and the UNDP on board. I'm sure you know that we're ready for serious business this time.
Indeed, and no doubt, more than 14,000 fellows across all 36 states and the FCT have already benefited, earning real income, getting experience, and even starting their own ventures.
And precisely on the 22nd of October, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, will flag off the NJFP 2.0 at a national dialogue that sets to spark new energy around job creation, innovation, and youth empowerment. Trust me, this one's not just another event. It's a movement for Nigeria's next generation.
So today we will take a look at how the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows program is changing the narratives and building skills for jobs in the country. Welcome to the program. I am Victor Azu.
And I'm Yanray John. It's a pleasure to join Victor to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. This is Africa's largest TV network, and without doubt, you definitely can't beat the reach. In the course of this program, Chukwudi Okolie-Ogbaja will join us for newspaper review, but for now, let's get the lowdown of the latest gist as far as the news is concerned, and Zenred Digmon has all of that for us. Zenred, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Yenri and Victor, and here is the news. Now, frivolous appeals, alleged intimidation of judges, and judgments delivered on grounds of technicalities are some of the challenges impeding the war against corruption in Nigeria. President Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, stated this while declaring open the 7th Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the National Judicial Institute Capacity Building for workshop for judicial officers.
The anti-corruption agencies and according them the needed independence to execute their statutory mandates. This enabling environment is evident in the impact that has been made in the last 2 years. The EFCC, for example, has recorded over 7,000 convictions in the first 2 years of the present administration.
The National Working Committee of the PDP has refuted the claim of signature forgery alleged by the party's National Secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu. This was at a media briefing by the party's leadership in Abuja. The governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, in another development, says the crisis rocking the PDP is a family affair that will soon be resolved.
Subcommittee Secretary of the Contact and Mobilization Committee of the convention, which he participated in setting up and processes. Now, to show that he started working on that, there's a budget presented by him under his signature. So at what point does that become a forged document?
The forthcoming World Public Relations Forum will be an opportunity to present Nigeria as a model of transformation through communication. Under President Tinubu's leadership, the world is seeing a Nigeria that is reforming, rebranding, and re-emerging, driven by innovation, private sector growth, and renewed international confidence. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris said this at the unveiling of the World Public Relations Forum 2026.
The Nigerian voice and the Nigerian future. Under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria is indeed reshaping its global image.
I also assure you that the bond will be with you all through this journey of hosting the world in Nigeria. And I want to say that NTA is going to be the official broadcaster of this forum.
And in a renewed effort to end lingering industrial disputes across Nigeria's tertiary institutions, the Nigerian Labour Congress has met with all its affiliate unions in the education sector to dialogue. At the meeting in Abuja, NLC President Joseph Ajaero says a comprehensive framework has been developed to guide ongoing discussions and ensure lasting resolutions within 4 weeks. And that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Yenre and Victor after this break. Stay tuned.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools, and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks, and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks, and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira would be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. State category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. energy from breakfast doesn't last my child the whole day. By halftime, they are low on energy. That's why break time is the right time to re-energize. It's that break time energy that helps keep your champ in the game.
Pack the nourishing energy of Milo with a great taste into the lunchbox every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo!
No buy am.
But why?
No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal.
Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
And the National Productivity Order of Merit Award goes to...
The only tomato paste manufacturer to win the National Productivity Order of Merit Award by the Federal Government of Nigeria, endorsed by the Association of Private Medical Practitioners of Nigeria. This is an evidence of 100% natural goodness. Eat healthy to live longer. Buy now and enjoy up to 20% discount.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria.
Comel!
Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
The world needs moms. With a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. Resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra oil, pour pure love.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
TerraCube is available in beef, chicken, jollof and crayfish flavors in 50 cubes Saver Pack and 100 cubes Super Saver Pack.
TerraCube. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
I thank you for staying with us. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
All right, Chukwudi Okoli Ogbaja is here with us this morning. Chukwudi, good to see you.
I am happy to have made it today. Yes.
Were the roads blocked?
Blocked. People are not too sure what will happen today. That's my summation from it all. So there is a wait and see attitude because nobody wants to get stuck in the kind of traffic that I saw yesterday. Don't ask me where my car is parked. That is none of your business.
No, you know I don't.
It will return to life.
I don't poke my nose.
No problem. We never even know what you do.
sorry about your car, by the way. So let's get into what the papers have this morning. We'll begin with the Leadership newspaper. And the newspaper that leads this morning has the lead story on Nnamdi Kanu. It says groups flay crackdown on protesters in Lagos, Abuja, others. All of that on page 23. And speed up trial of high-profile corruption cases, Tinubu tells judges. We have very huge picture of the First Lady here, and says that she's the Person of the Year 2025. You want to find out what all of that is about, and a copy of the leadership, of course, would do you good. So we'll move away quickly now to the blueprint. The blueprint leads with external existential threats, want to weaken Nigeria's unity. And that's coming from the federal government. Claim of genocide against Christians false, according to Idris. Once narrative countered by communication experts. All right, away from that, below the picture story, Kanu is also right here. Calm returns as police disperse protesters in Abuja, one arrested in Lagos. Other headlines on the front page of the blueprint this morning. Poor service in Lagos, Abuja caused by network congestion, according to NCC. EDGE deports 51 foreign nationals convicted of cyber crimes, and NLC gives federal government 4-week ultimatum to resolve ASU strike. All right, in the Port Harcourt Expressway, Umahi threatens CCECC over shoddy job. All of that on page 13. Above the masthead, on a final note, alleged coup. We are opposed to disruption of constitutional order. That's according to ADC. And that's on page 11. Victor.
All right, thank you, Yenre. I have Daily Trust. And the lead story here, of course, the Nnamdi Kanu issue. Nnamdi Kanu protest disrupts Abuja is that lead story here. Just above it, which is below the nameplate. Road crashes killed 3,433 persons in 9 months. That's credited to the FRSC. The NLC to government resolve issues with ASU, others in 4 weeks. That's on page 45. Convention, Anyanwu willingly signed all documents, is according to the PDP on page 15. And the picture story here shows security operatives blocking the road leading to Federal Secretariat and National Assembly in Abuja. I guess that was yesterday. And then Omoyele Sowore leading protesters yesterday, stranded commuters, and tragic gridlock along Abuja-Kefi Expressway. And the last set of stories, just at the bottom of the front of the Daily Trust, address Nigerians on alleged coup plot, ADC to FG, is on page 10. Court orders marriage between TikTokers over indecent video. Page 51. Nigeria imports 953 billion naira worth of sugar in 1 year. Page 31. And finally, Aviation Union declares strike. It's on page 32. Chukone.
I think I disagree with whoever is asking the authorities to address Nigerians on alleged coup plot. I don't think that's the best way to go. What we should all be doing now is, since they say there's no smoke without a fire somewhere, sometimes, we all need to begin to speak up. That will not happen, including the political parties. I'm happy that, African Democratic Congress coming out to say no illegitimate whatever.
It is the same ADC.
Everyone, that's probably the other part of the story.
Yes.
Good. What they all need to do now, all the political parties, is to send out a message that tells people who may be having some funny ideas, no, we are not for that. But you see that in this country, you don't quite understand reasoning. Some people will tell you, this government bad, you do this, you do that, make military come safe. Look, let people look before they leap. Think before you say certain things. There is nothing that is as good as a democracy. I've told them, all those Burkina Faso, Niger, and all that, give them another 5 years, you'll begin to hear another story. I ask people, why is one of them, I think that's the Niger man, or Burkina Faso, always on AI generated whatever. Good wine needs no bush. A good government is known by its actions. You don't need to paint the entire media red with your presence and all that. Somebody is trying to cook up a way of thinking. Tell a lie 1,000 times, and it begins to sound like the truth. I think that's Goebbelsian, Hitler's chief propagandist in those days. So let us be careful how we behave in this country. We should all be talking against any idea by anybody to take over leadership by force in this country. People will say, Ozwemena, may it not happen again, you know? That's the truth. We need to talk about the protest yesterday. I think what happened yesterday is one that you don't want to happen every other day. I just told you this morning that the road was virtually empty because people are not sure what will happen again. The first danger sign was military presence, you know, after the Cairo Bridge. That meant that the gridlock was threatening to stretch to Kefi, so to speak, you know. Many cars, Yamutud there, you know. I don't want to name mine, you know. Whatever happens, was anything really said by the protesters yesterday? If something was said by the protesters yesterday, what message are we going to take from it? The parties that are all involved, we have to limit our talk on it because the matter is still in court, the Kano matter. Otherwise, we'll be saying things that the Latin expression, sub judice, will tell you that is contempt of court. What message are we taking from it? Does the Kano matter now need a political solution rather than leaving it to the judiciary? What kind of message is coming from the Kano camp? Are they sounding conciliatory? The people in the Southeast themselves, how are they responding to this? My friend will tell you, you think it's the court keeping Kano? Many politicians in the Southeast are saying, keep that boy there, make we drink water, keep cup for ground. So you begin to think that fence mending needs to start from Igbo land. Do you understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, what we do is we wish the Southeast well and wish Nigeria well. Because they say if you beat your nose, I go begin cry. You understand? So let us all be circumspect about these things. There's nothing wrong in saying, this is what I want. But how you say it also matters to some people who are watching. It's very important.
Well said, Chukwudi. Another story that relates to that is this call by the president that the judiciary should speed up trial of high-profile corruption cases. I mean, a lot of people just think that, I mean, some cases in court should be done with as fast as possible, just so that, I mean, we can move on to other things and then justice can be served. What do you think?
All cases, if you ask me.
Exactly.
Justice should be swift.
You know, sometimes we hide under, we don't have enough judges and all that to prosecute cases. The IPO on it is also engaged in something else. He has not submitted his case in court, the investigating police officer, I mean by IPO. Some of these things are not exactly being reported the way they are. People who are handling the cases should search their consciences as well. That a case is in court, a case of corruption is in court should not become the reason for people to get enriched. We hear things. We have not proved those things. In some cases, we have proved. Some judges have been dismissed for misconduct. You understand? So we need to be very honest and earnest in saying that we want the wheels of justice to move fast. It is still the human being that damages prospects of his own development. It depends on what conscience people are bringing. I told people the other time, you say what a journalist needs is factuality, fairness, accuracy, objectivity, and balance. If he has no integrity, none of these things would work. What is the integrity a Nigerian brings to the workplace? That's the point. The problems I see in this country are not intractable. They're very easy. It depends on how men decide to think. Some people won't carry everything for this. Just give me a little portion of what I need. I'm serviceable, you know, easily. So let us not get too greedy over certain things. I've not accused anybody directly, but that is part of why corruption cases do not get solved.
And I guess this matter has been, you know, the jury has been out a long time talking about justice dispensation. And it's the reason why almost perennially we have 70% of the people in our custodial facilities are waiting trial.
That's it.
It's always been the same. Almost 70% are waiting trial. So you can imagine when we talk overcrowding, we are talking about awaiting trial. If you move all those awaiting trial, at least either get them to be free or get them convicted, that place won't be overcrowded.
Really overcrowded. You see them there all without shirts, particularly the men. You know why? They're sweating profusely in there. It's not that they can't afford
It's
a shirt.
not a good side at all.
It's not good.
Honestly,
it's not.
We hope that
you don't start punishing a man before convicting him. That is punishment.
I've seen someone who spent 14 years awaiting trial and eventually acquitted. He didn't do anything.
We can't begin again with that one.
14 years.
I've heard cases in the
And
US where people spend 35 years.
Charges.
You know? The good thing is that they come out praising God and loving that air of freedom again. They become changed people. When certain things happen to you in life, you go change by force. But that is not how it should go.
Is it all that become changed? Some become hardened, right?
This particular fellow just said that he was advised to press charges against those who arrested him, but that he had forgiven all.
They're usually like that. When they get there, they get to know that vanity upon vanity, all is vanity. And that your freedom is worth more than money. That's the way something happens to you, you know? That's it.
All right, talking about what is happening, NLC has given the federal government 4-week ultimatum to resolve ASU strike and ASU crisis, actually. And NLC is saying that after the 4-week ultimatum, if the federal government doesn't do the needful, it would mobilize all workers to embark on a strike action. According to NLC, they're saying that the policy of no work, no pay is actually the other way around. No pay, no work.
No pay, no work. I don't know if I run a company and people decide to go on strike, I will still want to pay them. But I got into private broadcasting quite early, so my thinking changed on these matters. That's the truth, you know. So whatever happens, the question I'm going to ask is, if NLC comes with its own and joins it to what is on the ground, is that how to solve it? Joe Ejiro has become my studio friend. When we meet each other here, there's a way we smile at each other, you know. You know, there's a way I happy here. You say now 450 go be minimum wage. You and Tinubu enter room, come out, it go to 70, we will laugh. You know, negotiation is not the easiest thing in life. It's not easy for them, the unionists and all that. I think that the threat, the 4-week thing, is to make them speed up. Is the 2009 agreement that is the culprit of all that? The federal government says, we have done what we could. ASU says, no, you haven't. You're still reneging on those things. Well, the most important thing is to put country first, whether you're government or you're a protester or you are a unionist.
And while we're at it, aviation union goes on strike too. Chukwu, they will have to thank you so that you think about these things and we'll see you again.
You want me to go on strike till tomorrow morning?
You can't even go on strike.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Tomorrow is another day. Let's
Bless
keep the
you.
date.
Thank you so much.
Good Morning Nigeria returns after this break. Please stay with us.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in color, with undying demand, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Diversity is unique, we are more than just a nation. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strength in unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy, chocolatey, frothy goodness, rich taste, so satisfying.
Cadbury 3-in-1 Hot Chocolate, the treat you deserve.
Guys, food is ready.
Cook to impress.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And just before we bring in our panel of discussants for our conversation on building skills for jobs for young Nigerians, let's take these background reports put together by Abdurrahman Jibrila.
A high-level policy dialogue on job creation with the theme From Skills to Job and Enterprises, driving youth employment and entrepreneurship in key economic sectors. The Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program, a flagship initiative of the federal government, being coordinated by the Office of the Vice President, is implemented by the United Nations Development Program and funded by the European Union.
In scaling NJFP 2.0, inclusivity must remain at the heart of our design. And our young people are not a homogeneous group. They live in different realities across regions, genders, and social backgrounds. We must ensure that this opportunity reaches every corner of the country.
And we believe very much in the power of this program to transform the lives of young Nigerians, and we want to see it grow. And Your Excellency, we look very much to your continued support in the actualization of the full mandate of the project.
Launched in 2022 to bridge the gap between skills, jobs, and enterprise, the program has already empowered over 14,000 young Nigerians through the 12-month paid fellowships that build experience, confidence, and lasting career opportunities.
It shows that this administration is not only focused on policy, it's focused on impact. Through NJFP 2.0, we are demonstrating how government-led programs can translate into real opportunities for decent work and enterprise creation for young Nigerians.
The Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program is one of the several opportunities created by the government of President Tinubu to turn skills into jobs, ideas into enterprises, and hope into results.
Many thanks to Abdurrahman Jibrila for that background report. Now time to get into the conversation, and just to let you know, our viewers, that you can also be part of this conversation. The number will be on the screen for you to send in your comments, your questions, whatever concerns you have as regards the topic. So let's get into our guest. And joining us for the conversation is Akubo Adegbe, a Senior Special Assistant to the President on Delivery and Coordination, Office of the Vice President. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right. Also here for the conversation is Massimo De Luca, Head of Cooperation, European Union Delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS. It's a pleasure to have you.
Good morning, Yari.
All right, and we have also been joined here in the studio by Claire Henshaw, Project Manager NUFP at the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. We thank you for coming.
Thank you and good morning.
So let's begin this conversation. Let me begin with Akubo. And I'm wondering what this program seeks to fix in the Nigerian economic system.
Thank you very much. This program seeks to bridge gap between learning and jobs. You know, when we go to school, when we come out of school, it's difficult to get certain jobs because you have no work experience. But you can't get work experience if you don't have a job. So it's a chicken and egg situation. So the question then is, how can you get the work experience required to be able to get the kind of job that you should be doing to help transform the economy? So this program is there for that bridge, to say, let's provide opportunities for young people post-NYSC that need experience to get jobs in certain high-impact sectors to actually have that experience. But with this program, doing a couple of things. One, finding them the organizations where they can get that experience, matching them to those organizations that they can work in that organization for at least 12 months.
Public or private?
Public, private organizations, and really focused on a lot of high impact. At this time, we're looking at tech, we're looking at the green economy, we're looking at renewable energy, we're looking at the development sector, and we'll talk a lot about that as we go along. So the idea is, within these 12 months, they then get the required work experience, training, and mentoring that will enable them to do one of two things. Either continue on the path to sustainable employment, then the organization where they have been matched, or other organizations that are within the ecosystem that we are building, or choose the path of entrepreneurship. And then we can link them up to that. The key thing is to make sure that if somebody wants to work, not having a work experience should not be a reason why they cannot get work. Because this fellowship for 12 months is then paid by the program, not the employer. That way the burden is lifted from the employer. The fellows, young graduates, are then paid a monthly stipend. And that's something that has also been improved to align with the realities of the labor market. And then they get the experience. So we don't have people that cannot get jobs because they don't have experience.
Great, Mr. Akubo. I would like you to speak more about this Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program as regards, you talked about stipend. How much is that stipend? And then you had the first cohort, right?
Yeah.
Now you're gone in for the second.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the challenges you experienced. How did you recruit, or if you like, how did you get those who participated in the program? And speak about the organizations that are, absorbing this, if you like, interns or whatever for the skills program. How did you come about all of that?
Yeah. So first, the Nigerian Jubilee Fellows Program is an initiative, of the federal government of Nigeria, right? Which is being implemented by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, with generous funding from the European Union, right, for the first phase, and even for where we are. Now, the first phase, like this phase, is a program that is online. So there's a web platform where two sets of people can register. The graduates that want to participate in the fellowship register on the platform. The employers public and private sector organizations that want to participate in the program also register on the platform. But there's then its next step to that is to then verify that these employers can actually provide the hosting capacity required to mentor these fellows over a 12-month period. So teams go out to physically verify that, one, these organizations exist and they have the capacity to train and mentor these graduates over this period. And once that is done, they can then request to say, oh, I need 2 people to work in my organization. And they do put that request online. And then the graduates then get matched to those organizations based on the areas they need people and based on the needs of the graduate to say, this is the area I want to work. So this is a transparent process that is online, right? And that's what has been run. And as you have seen, the program being run by UNDP has currently deployed like 14,000 people through this process. But have there been challenges?
Did you say 14,000?
14,000.
In the first phase?
Yes. As
Great.
of now, we've done 14,000. Now, have there been challenges? Yes, with operation. And I'm sure Claire will speak a lot more about the challenges because she's involved in actually running the program. Now, some of the challenges that we've seen with the program has been not having enough or the right type of host organizations, right? And in this phase, we're strengthening that process. One of the things we've also had is host organizations complaining about the quality of the fellows, right? And as we go along, we'll talk about how in this second phase, we've introduced a couple of things to make sure that we upskill the fellows, right? So there is strengthened psychometric analysis even before you enter the pool. There is training on employability skills that is being introduced now. There is training on enterprise skills that has been introduced now. There's a strengthened mentoring process to make sure that apart from the organizations where these fellows are working, there are people outside through a structured mentoring program that can handhold them to make sure that they succeed in the industry that they've selected. All right? And there are all kinds of opportunities that will be exposed to these cohorts based on the partnerships we're building with development partners, private sector organizations, and subnational governments.
How much is the stipend? You didn't mention.
Yeah, the stipend now is 150,000 naira.
Per month?
Per month. It used to be 100,000 naira, but that has been strengthened because it then aligns with the dynamics of the economic situation in Nigeria. The idea was we ran an analysis and said, okay, the kind of skills that these employers need, the tech companies, the renewable energy companies and all, because we're focused on building the skills required for now and in the future. What is the minimum that people earn in that sector, and why would somebody be interested? So on the basis of that, this has been reviewed to match that. So it's 150,000 naira stipend monthly for 12 months for every fellow.
All right. Let's get to Claire. Well, he's already asked you a question. He said you can deal with the challenges. But before then, how do you make your picks? How are the participants or the beneficiaries selected?
Interesting. So I would do a comparative analysis between NGFP 1.0 and the new strengthened NGFP 2.0. Within the 1.0, just like Akubo had said, participants go online, interested graduates go online. They fill the application form. And after filling the application form, there is an internal vetting process through what we call talent management companies. TMCs are, in the first phase, we had one major national TMC. What that TMC did was that once applications start to troop in, gradually they go through the process of first and foremost ensuring there is a general test assessment that is carried out. And this assessment, as of NGFP 1.0, was unique to Everybody had a set of questions that they would answer, and when they passed those questions, they moved to the next stage. And during that next stage, the TMC would then screen them through a very light interview, and then the best amongst them are selected. In the first stage, there was a selection of about 20,000 qualified graduates across the country. But now for NGFE 2.0, what is changing? Because of the challenge, and I have to speak just briefly about the challenge, one of the key challenges that employers, host organizations as we call them, had mentioned was quality. Quality in the sense that a young graduate leaves the university, but we go through the rudiments of theoretical learning, and a couple of times some of the smart ones go take extra skills, but we know that to a very large extent there is a gap that is missing, how we prepare young people or young graduates for the world of work. The experience you get from university is one thing. The experience you get when you work in an institution is a separate thing. So that was missing. And so you would hear host organizations say, oh, they are really good with what they do, but their attitude needs to be shaped. A couple of things here and there needs to be improved on. And so for us, we looked at that, took that feedback and the learnings and decided that we had to intentionally train these people over the course of the program. Now, for NGFP 2.0, our intention and what we are doing actually is that the applications troop in. Once the application troops in, we, of course, will shortlist based on standard basic criteria, your age. You also have to be a graduate that has graduated over the last 3 years.
What's the age?
18 to 30 years, maximum. Because we find, again, that was one of the challenges employers talked about. You want to keep somebody, but they're already past the age of being the average intern in that organization. So the maximum is 30 years. Now, if you have just freshly graduated from university, you qualify, but you would have spent not more than 3 years outside of university seeking for employment.
But at 18, would you have left school?
In some instances, we have geniuses that have left school at 18, 19. And then we leave it open because, again, some people are, for some reason, very smart. They finish their HNDs even roughly around the age of 18, 19. And again, the technical age for a young adult in Nigeria is 18. So we don't want to leave anything to chance. If you're 18 and you have graduated, why not? Really.
Is it just university graduation?
Or we have people from polytechnics as well. You must have a HND qualification.
Not OND.
HND, yes. But we also introduced some other areas to work with young talents that have a strong affinity for tech.
What about technical colleges? Are they a part of this program?
Well, I would say no, because again, this job is supposed to cover a specific niche for employers. So we are basically dealing with the supply from the ecosystem, the demand from the ecosystem where the jobs are coming from. This program is not going to fix everything, but fix the issue around young graduates leaving university and not being able to find decent work. Now, back to the question where application processes happen. You apply, then we will go through a video pitch. You do a 60-second video pitch as to answer the question, why are you the ideal NGFP fellow? Now, after that, we go through the process of now selecting. In the first phase, we noticed, remember I said we had one national talent management company. In this phase, having learned from the previous phase, we are now using 6 talent management companies across the regions. What we see is that there is a close proximity to the employers, and there is the ability to ensure that you can meet some of these graduates who have applied for this program. Now, having passed through the application and the video pitch, to now address the demand of the lack of skills for young people, you pass through a psychometric analysis that addresses your emotional quotient, addresses your attitudinal skills, addresses your technical skills and core competence skills. Now, what we try to achieve from that is that we want to know where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are, so that we have a targeted solution to strengthening your capacity where you are lacking. So if you feel you do the psychometric analysis and we find that your emotional intelligence quotient is low, our goal will be to design the mentoring program to strengthen that. Our goal will be to design the employability program to target the areas where we have seen more weaknesses. And then where you have strengths, we try to amplify that strength. It then means that the kind of mentoring and coaching you get helps to support that strength. So that when you are placed in an organization, you automatically become extremely valuable to that host organization. And the tendency to retain you after your 12 months is very high.
Who retains?
The host organization.
Okay.
Yes.
Many thanks, Claire. Very brilliant. But again, I would like to ask how transparent is this process? I mean, from what you have said, it sounds really very good, and you know. But I mean, this is Nigeria. We need to be sure that this is transparent, and you know, everyone is carried along. I'd like to get to you, Massimo. I hear that the European Union is funding this. Why is that?
Well, as Akubu said in his first intervention, this program started as a partnership between the federal government and the European Union. The commitment first was the federal government, a commitment to have such a scheme. And with the help, with the support of UNDP, the EU came on board. Let's say, quite substantially, to the tune of 44 million euro. And this happened because youth empowerment is one of the key areas of EU action in Nigeria. A lot of our programs revolve around skilling and giving youth opportunities in various sectoral environment and economic activities. The value of the scheme is, I would say, even more strategic. Why? Because this is a program that is meant to be established for the long run, so to go even beyond our funding. We thought that it was necessary to lead, let's say, in terms of funding, but for the future we see really the need, but also the opportunity for other actors to join the venture. And this is really what we also try to achieve with the second phase of the program. Till now, it is true, funding has only come from the European Union, but if you look at the nature of the scheme, it's of huge interest, not only for the federal government, but as we know already, states are really showing a huge interest in the scheme, because certainly skilling and providing an opportunity for the young graduates is also a main concern at state level. And it's also a big concern for companies, because companies, yes, they may be finding difficult to look for the right talent, but certainly they are hugely interested in a system that can be trusted and can do this matching exercise on their behalf. In a way, we did it because it's a key priority, I mean, to empower young Nigerians. But on the other hand, we did it because we saw the prospect of sustainability of this program. And this is certainly one of the big challenges, but also huge opportunities for other actors to come on board and establish the fellowship as a long-lasting system to vet young graduates and talented Nigeria and bring them close to employment opportunities with really qualified and trustworthy system.
Massimo, you said you're interested in this because you see suspect of sustainability.
Yeah.
I'm asking, what are the prospects here? Because we know government can't really sustain this, right? So apart from the European Union, I mean, what other organization do you think will want to jump on something like this?
Well, let's say that the government of Nigeria is in fact committed to supporting this scheme, and we'll see what happens. This is a scheme that started under the past government. When the new government came on board, they looked at the program critically, and this is also why we're having a second stage. Because we all wanted to see how the system could be improved, but the system is being improved also with a view to the federal government being able to join the scheme. State government, they also showed an interest in contributing into the scheme to vet specifically young graduates from their schemes. And we are also in close contact with entities such as NACSIMA and other representatives of employers, and they could also act as an intermediary and promote the what we call the basket fund. basket fund, maybe we go back to that. But this idea that the fellowship is going to attract investors and contributors from various streams.
All right, many thanks, Massimo. Akubo, you know, the reason I asked that question about sustainability is because you're talking about paying interns 150,000 naira. I'm sure, apart from the federal civil service, even in the state civil service, I doubt if a level 8, that's the entry level, right, for a graduate, earns up to 150 with the current 70,000 naira minimum wage. So that's like far above what a civil servant earns on level 8. So that's quite huge. And some people, critics, will want to say that this is just a way of giving cheap labor to organizations to run. Technically, you have staff, you're not paying, and then you just run, make money, and all of that. But speak to us about the success stories, really. You say 14,000 were part of the cohort 1. How many have been established? How many have employed other people?
Yeah. Thank you very much. So maybe before I get to, what we've done in the first cohort, let me address the issue of sustainability and government commitment. Just yesterday, we had the steering committee meeting of the Jubilee Fellows Program, chaired by His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima. And he reiterated government's commitment to continue to provide leadership for this program. Now, what makes this program unique, even in terms of the design of NJFP 2.0, is the idea of having a basket fund where everybody can contribute to. So the unemployment or the skills required for jobs is a problem that everybody has. The employers, organized private sector, have a problem with finding the right talent. The graduates do have a problem. Government agencies have the same problem. Development partners have the same problem. What this program has been designed to do is to create an ecosystem to address the problems of skills and jobs that everybody has. And so the basket fund that is being created for this program as part of this 2.0 is to ensure that all these actors, including subnational governments, who also need talents at the state level, will contribute to this. And I give a live example. I am from Kogi State, and I was having a conversation with the chief economic advisor to the Kogi State governor some weeks ago about youth employment. And he made a statement that was really fundamental. He said the supposedly single largest employer of labor after government in Kogi State that they are paying to are the construction companies because they are doing a lot of work. And every time they've asked them, oh, you need to employ our people, the response has been, yes, we've advertised, but you don't have people that are qualified engineers. But like, these people have gone to school. But they're like, well, they are not work ready. So for them, the problem is to be able to train and mentor engineers that will work in these companies instead of having the construction companies dominated, the staff run by the Chinese companies, the Chinese that owns the company and the Chinese that are coming to work. We have graduates, but they are not skilled enough to be able to work. So for them, if we have fellows attached to these companies, they can then learn skills at no cost to these companies. And then 1 year down the line, you can't come back and say, oh, you don't have people that we can hire. Because now we have people that you can hire and they have been in your system. And so the sectors that we want to focus on are sectors that are priority. So at the state level, when we sit with the state government and they say, oh, these are the 4 areas that we need to build skills. Great. How can you, yes, this is a federal government program, how can you as a state then contribute to that skills building. States will need to commit resources to this. If you meet a Nigerian Employer Consultative Assembly, for instance, NECA, who have umbrella organizations for employers, they say, oh, this is the problem that we have. Great. This is how this program has been structured. How can you contribute to this? So it's building an ecosystem to make sure that everybody that is part of this problem that needs to be solved, that has resources, contributes to it in cash or in kind. All right? And to ensure also sustainability, the current system, we plan to transition in the next 2 years to even government to run it directly, but with support from development partners. But by then, the basket fund would have been strengthened. All right? So that's the plan for sustainability. Yes, government will commit budgetary resources to this at the national level, at the sub-national level. Development partners will continue to do that. EU, USA, the FCDO, all these organizations that will reach out to will contribute to it. Organized private sector will contribute. Private foundations will contribute. So it won't just be, because it's not one person's problem. It's a collective problem that requires collective
You
solution.
didn't share the success stories. You said 14,000 in the first
Yeah.
cohort. How many have been employed?
Yeah, so I wanted Claire to be able to respond to those specifics because she's got the numbers. Yes.
Okay, please go.
Okay, so this is broken down by sectors. And just to reference the question on the civil service, in fact, the Civil Service Commission for now has the lowest, or let me call it public service, has the lowest in terms of where we have placed. And that's about 7.6%. But the interesting sectors where we've had the most success are around the tech and innovation sector, where we have 21.7%. Interestingly, many of these young people that have been placed across organizations like the Nokia, the Microsoft, a number of them have been retained. Now, beyond the retention is the fact that many of them have set up their own enterprise. You would find a young woman who's now a digital skills marketing specialist based on the lessons and trainings she has received from institutions like Microsoft. You equally find young people establishing their own businesses. And while this is just an indirect attribute of the program, while we're hoping that more will be employed, more have decided to take enterprise routes. But the interesting success story is that 60% of our fellows have been supporting the MSME ecosystem in terms of ensuring that their systems are sustained, their programming sustained. And you find that, noting that the MSME ecosystem has a large, about 80% in Nigeria, NGFP fellows are contributing to 60% of that workforce. And a number of them are also in that level of ensuring that there is continuity around placements within those institutions. But I think one of the innovative things we're trying to do again is that outside of the people that have not been retained in the organizations where they have been placed, we have something called the Talent Hub. In this Talent Hub, the alumni, those who have completed their 12 months program within their host organizations, are in that pool. What are we doing with that pool? We are selling them differently and branding them differently, because once we find that you have passed through your 12 months placement, our goal is, why were you not retained? The retention for those young people is not necessarily a factor of the fact that they cannot work there, but maybe those organizations, for example, cannot pay or meet up with the 150,000 naira. But these young people have said, I don't want to be there. I want to do other things. And so we match them to organizations that are already interested in having directly from that alumni. Most people don't even want the alumni pool to, they don't want these young people to be there to just come and work for free. We find that within the alumni pool, we now have a strengthened ecosystem of young people that are more attractive to host organizations. Because again, they say, now we have a skilled pool. We want to select from this skilled pool. So we are strengthening the capacity of those young ones or those graduates to be able to meet the specific demands of other host organizations that were not necessarily a part of the program, but now see a skilled platform where they can directly pick from. Our goal is to strengthen their capacities to now meet that demand from these host organizations. And we've seen some interesting results in that area. You would find state governments, for example is Enugu State, have said, we want you to give us people that are well-trained and people that have been skilled within the certain areas to join our workforce in the education space. You'll recall that Lagos State recently just launched smart schools, and they're looking for more hands in the digital space, those that can help them transfer knowledge and information through their systems. And we're getting more interesting feedback. In fact, at the moment, this program for this phase seeks to place about 24,000. And we currently have a demand of over 33,000 requests, which means we have more demand for skilled than we can provide.
So you're done with the application process already?
No, we are already receiving requests from host organizations.
Okay.
The goal is to match the supply with the available demand.
When you talk about strengthening capacity, now we often look at skills, but sometimes the missing link is just the mindset.
True.
So how are you helping fellows, NGFP fellows, build confidence so that they can lead and innovate?
I think that's a very beautiful question, because that's one of the critical things that we have seen. Now, I did mention earlier that employers would say, we want people that are confident. So the university system trains you, you get a 2-1, you get a first class, but something is missing. That is the confidence gap. And what we have done clearly is that besides measuring through the psychometric analysis your level of competence around your attitude, the level of competence around certain areas that we find to be relevant to what employers are looking for, we match you with targeted mentorship and coaching. We try as much as possible to look at where those gaps are and then strengthen it. Now, you will find fellows that would have one-on-one direct intervention with their coaching mentors, or would have those that have similar issues grouped in a bucket so that they can be trained and coached by special experts to address those gaps. But more importantly, we are strengthening the capacities of host organizations as well to be able to coach in the right direction. In the past, what we've seen is that people just take these people and then they pass through the system, and oftentimes they don't necessarily get the feel that they have passed through a 12-month career coaching, career preparation program. Now, employers that we are engaging, there is a deliberate effort to also tell them that, look, beyond the fact that you are accepting these young fellows into your institution, you have a responsibility to also mentor them, coach them. So if a young person says, I want to be in the green economy space, there must be deliberate matching with, I would say, a professional in that institution as well that is also supporting their mentorship journey. And how do we track this? The digital end-to-end ecosystem has digital system where the application starts and ends. There's a way that you will be entering in your work, your experiences in the institution, which will be matched by the professional you have been assigned to, like your supervisor, to either accept or reject what you are putting into the system. So even before you get your stipends, there is an internal structure that ensures that what we are hoping for is actually being documented. And so we tick those boxes every month to see that those milestones we have set, both for the host organizations and the fellows, are actually aligned. And that is the basis for which you earn your salary or your stipend of 150,000.
All right, many thanks, Claire. We have some comments from our viewers, and we quickly want to take them so you can respond, to them. This one says, where and how do we get the link to apply for the program? Another one says, good morning, Mr. Kubo. A fantastic idea, but why are you focusing on the youth alone? What about 50 age, those aged between 50 and above, and senior citizens who are still strong? In other climes, there are jobs or opportunities for every age, so that people who retire early and are still strong, such persons should be allowed into these schemes. In other words, I'm interested in upskilling and continuing to earn a decent living without waiting for children's support, and so I can contribute to the GDP and pay my tax where necessary. Alhaji Yusuf Alani, I'm sure that's an advanced person there, or an elderly person asking to be part of the scheme. Another one says, Mohammed Awal Musa Afamai from Kano, there is need to establish community-based skills development centers across all communities in Nigeria that offer training in both vocational and modern skills. Good morning, Nigeria. Another one says, the progress of Nigeria lies in the hands of we Nigerians. Therefore, we need to work together to grow this country. Adewale Isaac from Ikogosi in Ekiti State. This one says, good morning, presenters. My name is Ismail from Buari. Please, can you help us with the website to apply? Another one says, good morning, Nigeria. Please ask the program manager lady, can they design a program for 58 plus? Well, I think that's the same Alhaji Yusuf Olani. Another one says, why is Nigeria always using age as criteria for selecting candidates for job and training? The federal government should channel this program to NYSC by posting candidates to companies for them to get experience rather than posting them to schools. For instance, someone that studied electrical and electronics engineering doing his or her NYSC in private secondary school for a year, and you want him or her to apply for jobs with skills and experience? All right, I guess you'll respond to some of these questions before Victor will take the number that he has. So,
okay, so I'll quickly just mention that the application site will go live on 22nd of October 2025, roughly around 4 p.m. When we have flagged off 2.0, and it will be on for as long as necessary.
without technical hitches, of course.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why that's why it's a rolling base. It's like you keep applying until we fill the slots. Because remember, we are looking at this instance just placing 24,000 fellows. Now, in terms of how to apply, they go to www.njfb.ng/apply. But the main website is www.njfb.ng.
Say that again.
www.njfb.ng. Once that site goes live, again, you can also check our social media pages. You can find the links there. Already we are putting in publication just so that people are very much aware. Yesterday, after we had the steering committee with the vice president, I think as of today, the whole, I wouldn't say the whole anyway, but we've got a lot of media publications also sharing information about that project. But for those who may not be able to attend the event tomorrow, they can also key in virtually to follow the event. But that will be found, the link will be found on our website or on our social media pages. With respect to age, the question around age, I think this program tries to solve a specific need. The need to ensure that the workforce that we need for public and private sector within that internship level, fresh graduate level, is addressed. Indeed, there is need for more of such programs, even for our agents, so that we don't leave anyone behind. And one of the key things at the UN, particularly UNDP, where we're a development agency trying to solve, address the issues around the SDGs, our goal is to keep everybody involved in living decent livelihood. So there are other programs that they could key into. They should just, of course, check our social media pages to follow our programming. But I do think that in trying to address the issue of workforce development, we are looking at the workforce for the future. People that can help economic transformation move at an accelerated pace. Nigeria is a country where over 60 to 70% of its population are young people, many of them unemployed or underemployed. And this program seeks to address that specific gap for young people. My colleague Akubo is here, he can speak on other programs that government has on that area. But I think that ultimately, once we can address the issue of our young people being fully and gainfully employed with decent and fulfilling work, our fathers, our uncles that are over 50 can just sit back and relax.
What about a question that talked about youth corps members, being harvested for this scheme instead of...
Yes. So one of our key pipelines is the NYSC. We're going to be working with the NYSC to also find those critical talents. Now, indeed, everybody and anybody can apply, as long as you meet that standard criteria of being 18 to 30 years, being a fresh graduate, of course, having your NYSC exemption certificate if you did not serve. And the key thing is, we're not trying to leave anyone behind. Every opportunity to find the best of Nigeria's talents, we will go through those processes. So you have platforms like the NYSC, but there are also platforms that equally prepare young people for the world of work. Our goal is not to be everywhere, but to use those targeted talents to solve a critical need. But when you come through our platform, you then follow our own processes to make sure that you are workforce ready. Remember that even when young people finish their NYSC scheme after 1 year, because of the way deployments can happen, it's a call to national service, which means that you could be an expert in computer science, for example, which I studied, but you are posted to a school to teach computer science. The kind of skill sets an employer is looking for is different from what you had gained in some instances during your NYSC. What the NGFP is doing differently is that we're trying to build you with specific targeted skills that the job market is looking for. And we create that full ecosystem at no cost to the employer. And after 12 months, you carry on from there.
All right, thank you. Let me take the messages that I have here, quite a handful too. Good morning. My take on skills job is for us to get our technical school rectified so we can reduce the terms of secondary school for us to get good skills from the onset. That's from Thomas. And from Ebere in Enugu, I applied, I wrote the test, assessment, and at the end of the day, I was not selected. Even another guy I know also applied, but nobody was selected. The woman in charge of Enugu just selects all her family members. Well, from Muhammad Isa in Kotunkarfe in Kogi State, he said 5 key ways government can build skills for jobs in Nigeria. 1, he says, revamp technical and vocational education. 2, promote digital and tech skills nationwide. 3, strengthen soft skills and employability training. 4, support youth entrepreneurship and startups. And 5, foster public-private partnerships for skill development. I'll ask Massimo later if he agrees with all of this. And good morning, Nigeria. My name is Omali Abdul from Abuja. I love your program, but the truth is that the rate of crime can't be eradicated in this our dear country. If you concern, I don't get that. If you keep picking age 18 to 30, what happens to poor graduates above that age, or the old graduates with no jobs? Should throw their certificates in a gutter or go stealing? Okay. And from Joel in Plateau State, I have never heard of this scheme. They need to do more public enlightenment campaign, please. Great. And from Haji Al-Adidi, good morning to you all. Please, I want to know how my children can participate in this program for possible employment at the end of the program. Thank you, NTA, for always leading in all ramifications in our society, she says. And this one, good morning. Please, I'd like to know the details of how this works or what it takes to be part of this program. I think we've done that all day. And from Binta Suleiman in Kurudu, good morning, Team NTA. This is a very good development. Please, I ask, what happens to the so many young Nigerians in our grassroots and remote areas who could not afford basic education? Is government considering them in any way? And finally, this one is quite a lot. Your observations and questions are apt. It seems the 18-year entry age is tilted to favor a class of privileged Nigerians and their families. The federal government should adjust the age to 22 to 35 or 40 years, as graduates in these age brackets and above are ideal for employment. Okay? And good morning, Nigerians. Well done, NTA. Many thanks for the topic of discussion today. The major challenges with the succeeding government policy initiatives like this UNDP program are lack of transparency and haphazard planning. The nepotistic tendencies in the implementation and facilitation of these programs are always questionable and rooted in secrecy. For instance, most citizens, including me, have been trying to register on the portal of many of these programs without success or being selected. Why age barrier all the time? From Kayode Busari in Lagos. And good morning and thanks for the program. Are those with lower grades from institutions given chances? Take note, some had poor grades for many reasons. And finally, from K. Good morning, producers. Please, why can't the program be open for all ages? I mean, I am above 45 and kind of interested, but age barrier is now an issue. Please, Nigeria should allow all who are strong to key in. A lot of people are talking about age, but somebody was giving us a recipe for, you want to respond to that?
Well, I think that I can respond, of course, Victor, from the point of view of what the European Union does, which is just a role, after all, of a partner, a development partner in Nigeria. And of course, it's just a proxy or a fraction of what government is doing or aiming to do. Certainly the four ingredients that the intervener gave us are correct. And it is true that these are elements of many of the programs that we pursued. Just to give an example, in terms of fostering vocational skills at large, it is true that we need to have a broader attention to skilling people, but as Claire very aptly explained, the Jubilee Fellowship really tried to address a specific issue. In the context of the European Union programs, we support vocational skills across a number of sectors and in different contexts. I'd like to give an example that also addresses the issue of entrepreneurship. In the midst of the Boko Haram crisis in Borno, with the help of our UN friends, the FAO, we supported a group of women that basically then developed the famous Tom Brown food that by now most people know as being available on the shelves. So it is true that the challenge of creating jobs and opportunities, economic opportunities, is a far wider issue that requires a number of different approaches. The intervener was referring to public-private partnership. Well, on that aspect, I think that the Jubilee Fellowship has a vocation to become public-private. In fact, it already is, because it mainly addresses the needs of private sector and comes in with a public policy offer to address some of the issues. We've been also active through, for example, the Tonino Melo Foundation in fostering financial and enterprise inclusion. Of course, there is so much that a development partner can do, but certainly this is an area that we keep up as a fundamental priority of our action in Nigeria.
All right, many thanks, Massimo, for your response to that question. I would like you to respond to some of the comments that have come in so far.
Especially age.
Yeah,
those talking
the
about
age. The age is a critical one for so many people. Something that for those in disadvantaged communities, it is impossible to graduate at age 18, and for 30, it's very slim. And again, if you want to add, well, strikes are minimal these days, but I mean, some of the issues in our education system. So speak about that, the age, and then speak about the fact that some people think that this program is for short-term relief. It doesn't do long-term relief in terms of employability.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll address the issue of age. Claire did mention earlier about the age thing, which is, first of all, fundamentally, the Jubilee Fellows program is designed to solve a specific problem, and it is demand-driven. So if you picked your phone and you Google for average age that employers ask for fresh graduates today, and anybody, all the guests, anybody watching can do that exercise just now, you won't find any organization that wants to recruit a fresh out-of-school graduate that is above 30. Anybody watching, all of us in the studio can do that exercise right now. If you do that, you won't find. Here's then the challenge. If you get people that are over 30, if you open it up and people then register, and the organizations don't take them, you'll have more complaints of people saying, I applied.
We were not selected.
I was not selected. Because the private sector organization, before I joined government, I worked in management consulting. In my firm, we don't employ anybody above 23 because you are looking for a certain type of people, a certain type of class of degree for the kind of work you need them to do, because these guys are working like 18 hours a day and doing critical thinking and using data to solve problems for clients.
Even if sometimes that doesn't actually solve the problem you are looking to solve.
Yeah. But when you look at the major consulting firms in the world, that's where they stay. If the banks advertise, they have age range. If the development, everybody has this. So the idea was to look at what, we're trying to solve two things here. But primarily, what does the industry need? Both in terms of age and in terms of skills. And so some of our partners have even told us, you guys should drop this thing to 27. Because that's the average age now. If you Google now, you check online, what's the average age, or you ask ChatGPT to tell you the average age is like 27. So, but we're like, no, let's make sure we provide opportunities. Taking it to 30 is actually pushing the envelope for this program. Now, this is one program, right? You know, recently, government approved the Renewed Hope World Development Program to be able to make sure that, I mean, that program has been led by the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, as you know, to make sure that interventions operate at the level of the 8,809 wards in Nigeria, at that level. And that's part of government's commitment to make sure that nobody's left behind. Like Massimo said, there are vocational development programs that they are supporting. There are many that are being run by the Ministry of Labor and Employment. There are many that are being run by the Ministry of Education. There are many that are being run by the Ministry of Youth, right? In addition to the different things that development partners are doing that addresses the challenges of different age groups. The Jubilee Fellows program will not solve all the youth, even all the youth unemployment problems. It's solving a particular problem. And in terms of whether this is short-term, just to address that, the whole concept of fellowship is meant to be a bridge for skills. And I can give personal examples, right? There are many people that, when I started work in development many years ago, wanted to just work in development, but they couldn't get in. I brought them in to work for free. And within 6 months, they had gotten the skills they needed to apply for work in the sector. So this is a bridging program that helps you to develop not just your technical skills, but your people skills, your leadership skills, because we're considering all that. So we have a training on employability skills, for instance, looking at your emotional quotient, looking at your leadership skills, looking at how you behave and everything, because those are the things employers are looking for.
All right, many thanks, Akubo. Let's get it clear. I think we'll soon call for a break. But before that break, speak to us about if there are penalties for host organizations that neglect or, if you like, exploit fellows. And then some say that the 12 months, based on the kind of skills you intend for these interns to have, some say that the 12 months is rather too short, looking at the kind of organizations you're talking about, tech. I mean, you can't be well skilled in tech and all these other aspects in just 12 months. So do you think this is really doing, I don't know, you tell me, if this is actually doing good or producing half-baked skilled labor?
Okay, I'll start with the first question about what kind of penalties do we have for host organizations. On this program, we've actually expelled some host organizations in the past, particularly those that when our fellows reach out to us and tell us, look, I've been working here and my skills are not being put to good use, we stop the program. We stop you as a fellow from working there after due diligence has been done, and then we match you. And in some instances, you find some host organizations saying, we don't want a particular fellow because of one or two reasons, and we also do a rematch. Now, what I do find often that is common amongst those organizations is that, because a young person has been placed and you want to use them to do quote-unquote slave work, they now become everything to you. Once that is found out, and we have encouraged our fellows to speak up. And this is why one of the key things we are doing again is to ensure that fellow host organizations understand their role on this program. And indeed, when we find you lacking in certain areas, we pull out. And that's why even when you have a lot of applications from host organizations, if you don't meet our standard criteria that we have established for the program, we don't send fellows to you. You must first and foremost be an organization that is registered by government through CAC. You must be a tax-paying host organization, because we find that any organization that pays tax to a very large extent is responsible, and they do their civic responsibility to cover the economic requirements of the country. We also make sure that your location is one that a fellow can go into and be proud to be a part of. And finally, carry on? And then finally, we find that host organizations appreciate fellows that have gone through
all right. I'll have some more questions for you, but when we return from this break, please don't go away.
Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, the city is moving. New voices, heavy drip, all heart. From the streets to the stage, this is the next Afrobeat star. What are we here for? Let's Afrobeat star. Let's get nasty. And the talents from all over showed up to own the room. But they're not alone.
Spiritual. Gospel.
All chasing a slot to face the judges. Puffy T, SARS, Andre Vibes, P Pride. Catch next Afrobeat star on.
Many thanks for being there. Of course, this is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And we've been discussing with our guests the NJFP program of the federal government, supported, of course, by the EU, UNDP, and other partners. Now, we've been talking a lot about age and you trying to give that clarification. Let's talk about balance now. What's the balance, male to female ratio, for instance? Is this something you keep an eye on? Yes. And what about inclusiveness for persons with disabilities?
Okay, that's a very brilliant question, because again, you find that first and foremost, one of the key mandates of the United Nations is to leave no one behind. And there is a deliberate effort to bring in young fellows that may be either physically challenged or have any issues. And we've had roughly about 5% of our fellows being persons living with disabilities. So that is something we take very seriously. And then we try to match them with host organizations that are able to also manage those expectations. So if you're physically impaired, we want to be sure that the organization has allowances for such challenges. In addition to that, we place a very high emphasis on gender. So this program has a gender marker of 2.0. What does that mean? It means that there must be a deliberate effort to ensure equity and balance in how we select fellows. At the moment, we have more males than females. I think the ratio between male and female on this program is, for the male, we have about 54%. And females, we have 46%. But we find that the attraction within certain sectors, ICT, which has drawn the highest number of requests from host organizations, have more men, more young men dominating that field. But again, when you now look at the sector that has to do with trade, retail, commerce, and education, you find more females there. We are also using this opportunity to encourage more young women to, of course, pivot towards the tech ecosystem. And to that extent, we're also working with 3MTT through the Ministry of Digital Economy to ensure that that balance is there. So again, what we tell them is make sure you have more women also coming on your program, because again, that is a pipeline that sometimes feeds into the program. But generally, there's always this disparity between what kind of roles women are looking for. And interestingly, some sectors will tell you, oh, we want females. The hospitality sector, you find that they want more females to support with customer service work. So again, ultimately, what drives this program is the demand. But we try to create an enabling environment.
But for persons with disabilities, I mean, what areas do you fit them in? Knowing that we say they have disabilities for a reason. So what areas do you fit them in where they can, you can maximize their potentials and also be able to benefit them?
Honestly, there are no restrictions. As long as you are able, within the confines of your disability, to work. we try as much as possible to fit you in, because we want to ensure that there's really no discrimination or barrier. So if you find a person that is, I think the biggest challenge the ecosystem faces is you may not necessarily find work for someone that is visually impaired, because most organizations may not necessarily have those tools, the Braille system for computer-assisted laptops or desktops that can help them. But we try to make that effort. And so you would find many of those physically challenged persons perhaps in the NGO and development space. So if we were to pick somebody within the United Nations as a fellow, we already have those things in place as an institution. Part of the awareness creation is that we are training host organizations to also be friendly in this direction. But you see, even within the context of community support, we have a section of our program where these fellows are supposed to also provide support to the communities where they work. And part of it is that they, if by extension, support people within this category of disability. We find that there are more people that are physically challenged, using wheelchairs, using crutches or clutches to get to their places of work. And what we try to advocate with employers is that please make this environment friendly and accommodate the challenges that your fellows face. We've not had any unusual cases, but I think there should be some additional effort to support people with visual impairments, because again, they are probably the most people left behind when it comes to situations like this in the world of work.
What category of persons with disabilities do you already have in your pool?
We have people that are mostly physically challenged in terms of walking impairment, arm impairment, hearing impairment. And you'll be surprised that in some instances there was an organization that actually hired an interpreter because of somebody that is hearing impaired from the fellowship pool that we selected from. So some organizations go that far to provide that kind of support.
All right, many thanks, Claire. Let's get to Massimo. We have more comments from our guest, but I'd like you to speak about some of the improvements you'd like to see in the second cohort. You know, let's say the first was an experiment. What advancements, you know, could be imputed in the second?
Thank you very much, indeed, there's been quite a long time of reflection, joint reflection with the Office of the Vice President and with our colleagues and partners from UNDP in really analyzing what could be improved. And I think Claire already said it to some extent, but I would like to emphasize that this is also critical in terms of our, you know, commitment to the program. The whole area of effectiveness of the recruitment process and the matching, I think, is the crux, including the transparency and the technological environment. What Claire explained really respond to a joint ambition to have a world-class matching system that can be really, you know, compared favorably worldwide. I mean, here we are not saying just to do something for an immediate need and sort of put together in a way that may not be professional. No, in this case we are really looking at a system that should be world-class and should really harness as much as possible the huge talent that we all know, that the world talks about, that we have in Nigeria. Okay. So that's the first thing. In this context, yes, the issues, for example, of access to the system, it's been okay, it's been good in the past edition, but I think now we are going to see a much better access to the system in terms also of responsiveness, in terms of services that are provided to the applicants, in terms of matching. Let me give you a little experience, although I'm not really necessarily in the field as much as Claire is on this program. The experiences that I can bring here are experiences from big European corporates, and they recruited, for example, there is one, I don't know whether I'm supposed to give the name, I will not for the time being, but they recruited 12 recruits from the scheme. Okay, they retained 2. And 9 out of the 10 people that were not retained could find a job in the following year. Okay, This is the type of story that we are looking for. Okay, same thing in this I will mention who the person is, Chimezie Amadi, Commissioner for Digital in Imo State. He employed fellows into Imo State Digital Department to implement really the digital agenda of Imo State. It was hugely successful. And by now, really, we all know that Imo State is really becoming a hub for digital activities, okay? And we see it also through the activities that we do with Minister Tijani on the digital agenda. We see that the level of readiness of Imo State, even from a public side point of view, is becoming really quite considerable, okay? So the Eurocham, the Chamber of Commerce of the European, let's say, of Europe, European Union in particular, although there are also Swiss and Norwegian companies members, they've been recruited and actually they are crying out for more recruitment. Of course, they also suffered for some of the shortcomings of the previous edition, some slowness, you know, or not necessarily getting the fellows that they would have wished for, but things are improving and we are monitoring through our experiences.
Great that you're monitoring. But Massimo, do you think that the host organizations should be compelled to employ a certain number of mentees, you know, just so that we can actually reduce those who are unemployed in our society? Well,
as the Kubu and Claire already explained, this is very much demand-driven. So we are not here to impose really a public policy mandate on the employers. The scheme is meant to facilitate employers. Now, I think that part of this broader coalition, basket fund and broader coalition of stakeholders, these issues can be brought to the table. Meaning that if Nigeria Economic Summit Group, NACSIMA, they come to the board, they say, we want to partner with you, we want to partner as they say they are willing to, then we can talk, okay, let's improve the target. Let's make sure that we maximize the placement of these youths.
All right,
so
great.
And this is also part of what we aim for.
All right, let's take some more comments. I'm sure you have some, Victor. This one says, good morning, Nigeria. My name is Mr. Eduro Osambodiame. My question is that the state and the federal government and local government should incorporate, but it doesn't look like a, okay, suggestion is that the state and the federal government and local government should incorporate registered NGOs to train people at the various local level to alleviate poverty. The Commissioner for Humanitarian and the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs should have work in synergy by proffering all legal NGOs, especially at the local level. All right, I'm sure it's talking about NGOs being a part of all of this. This says, good morning, Team Nigeria. This is an interesting subject you're discussing this morning. For us to really solve the skills gap in our team in youths, we definitely need to go back and fix our technical and vocational education. This is the foundation of good technical manpower. Also, collaboration between industry and institutions is a must, so that the students and institutions are producing will have the required knowledge and skills to feed into our industries. Finally, we should look into the German dual vocational system. God bless our German dual vocational system. God bless our beloved country. Engineer Professor Ikotum Bashir sent that.
All right, let me take the few I have here. Good morning. I'm already into solar. How can I get work? And then this one reads, good morning, Nigeria. Can you involve school dropouts? And another says, good morning, NTA. I suggest the program maintains its primary purpose as established. However, you could also introduce a similar program targeting individuals above age 30 to promote entrepreneurial spirit with a focus on create your job. This could be implemented with little or no stipend. And then this one says, good morning, Team NTA. Keep up the good work. Please kindly display the link for easy access. And finally, good morning, Nigeria. I am Pool God Times from Edo State. I thank you all for organizing this program. This is one of the best organizations that we need to develop this country. All right. Akubo wants to respond to some of them.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'll speak generally, right, around the ecosystem and what government needs to do. I see the recurring comments around we need to fix vocational skills, and I agree, right? I agree we need to do that, and government is doing that, right? Now, one of the things that the NGFP is trying to contribute to the broader ecosystem is we are working with the National Council on Skills. The National Council on Skills has all the key ministries, Labor, Ministry of Education, all right, and Ministry of Trade and all that, with the Vice President as chair. It's one of the councils that he chairs. And one of the things that NGFP, recognizing that we need to support the broader ecosystem, is doing say, okay, National Council on Skills, one of the things we need is, what are the skills we really need now and the next 20 years? We are supporting them to conduct a survey for us to know that. One of the things we're also supporting them to do is to build a skills program database. You know, one of the things, interestingly, as people send in comments, you will see is that you will see one person that is benefiting from 3 different programs. What we are now supporting National Council of Skills to build is a platform where all skills and job creation programs can be dumped with all the beneficiaries. That way, if you're already there, you're there. If you're already participating in the Jubilee Fellows program, you can't be doing another program because, and you know that happens a lot. We want to ensure that that doesn't happen. Part of, you know, addressing the whole ecosystem. And so as we do that, we'll use that to harvest all the different programs. Working with National Council of Skills now, and also working with the National Council on Employment to see what has been addressed, what are the gaps, right? NGFP is doing 18 to 30. 3MTT program, for instance, that Ministry of Communication Technology is doing, supported, EU is supporting them too, which is a pipeline to, there's a pipeline between that program, for instance, and the Jubilee Fellows program, where we are saying, employers need technical skills. The 3MTT program is already training tech people. So when you train them, we find host organizations for them, right? Recently, we had conversations with Ministry of Creative Economy where they have the, I think the Spark program that builds, it's a training program already for the creative industry. So we're like, great, train the people. We do a pipeline through these 4 creative industry organizations that we can push these people to learn. So we're making sure that the ecosystem is addressed, all the challenges, and then ultimately we'll know where the gaps are. And this is a responsible government that is focused on making sure that the issues of youth unemployment, which is a key issue in the Renewed Hope agenda, is addressed. And so as we do this work and we create these platforms and coordinate to make sure that, to know what has been addressed and what the gaps are, the relevant government agencies will take a cue and do what they need to do.
I wanted to ask Claire to talk about, you know, you gave some numbers earlier about the male-female ratio. What about across the geopolitical regions? What's the statistics like?
So I don't have that off head, but in terms of creating equity and balance, each state has a targeted number, the baseline. So at the minimum, each state is supposed to have about 954 fellows. Now we understand that while each state is supposed to have that number spread evenly, there will be more demand within certain locations. So we try to create that equity. But again, what we are learning is that every opportunity to ensure that the government can then create that ecosystem where the jobs are created allows us to do more placement within that state. So we can sit with the governor and say, look, there seems to be a demand for green tech or agriculture within your space. Where can we place fellows that is, you know, decent and fulfilling? And the state government will say, okay, we are starting something here. Perhaps you can then place within this category. Now, within the tech and innovation space, where we find a lot of opportunities, we're also strengthening local communities. So if there's a community in the state where we can find a standard innovation center, what I call innovation center could be a hub where MSMEs go to work. Part of the strategy is that to enhance the capacities of those MSMEs. We can also place fellows in those hubs if you meet certain criteria, of course. And the goal is to be as equitable as possible. But definitely we know that there'll be more demand where the employers aggregate more within certain locations. So that is a given. There must be equity in terms of placement. And to address the question you asked when you said, is 12 months enough to pass through those skills? You see, our goal is not to be everything to everybody. And that is why we are deliberate about the pipelines we pick from. And Akubo gave a fantastic illustration of that. So if there is a demand for people in the tech ecosystem where we have seen, our goal is where are the pipelines we can find those talented skills? So we pick from there. And while this is open to everybody, we want to enhance the feel for the employer as well, so that you are not just coming to train, but instead, we're actually giving you value for money as well. Because our goal is if we're going to get you to place eventually and retain them, we must give you something to be proud of, something that will make you excited. And then this brings us to the question, who is the archetype for the kind of fellow we are looking for? Everybody will apply, yes. But we also want to ensure that we are not just picking randomly. We must meet certain requirements. A fellowship program is supposed to mold you, yes, but you must also come fully present to the program. We will not accept a fellow, for example, who is lackadaisical, who has not put in the effort to sell themselves and say, why am I the ideal NGFP fellow? And if I were to go through personal examples, before I got my job in the development space, I studied computer science, arguably one of the best students, if I say so myself, in my department as a female scientist. But I was volunteering all through my time in Uniben, where I schooled. And you know, the interesting thing is that my first gig was from the experiences I got from my volunteer work. I was employed in the NGO space because I used my volunteer experience as the experience to apply for that role. And here I am today. No godfather, but I work in the United Nations, which was a dream that I had.
Is there a godmother somewhere?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you see, I think one key thing, the Nigerian, I believe in the Nigerian dream. Things are hard, but if you put your heart to it, soul, body, and just close your eyes to the challenges, walk through them, there is something for everyone. And I think government is being responsive to that. And that is not to say government doesn't have much to do. They have a lot. But as UNDP, being development actors and working to serve the people of Nigeria, I think we see a key shift in the trajectory of the future of work. And so we are equally putting a lot of support in that direction for the government of Nigeria. Through community hubs, you had mentioned community spaces. There is a deliberate effort by UNDP now to go to the interiors, to establish community maker spaces where people are typical innovators. You don't have to have a university degree. As long as you can fabricate, we are going to put fabrication equipment for you. If you can do something, if you're doing solar and you need the tools to work, you are going to find in those community innovation spaces. And we are using that to bring government in. So government's partnership may not necessarily always be monetary. Sometimes it could be the structure. Give us a structure, let us equip it, let us provide the necessary due diligence around what is viable in that space, and target those things, those sectors, so that people can come into that place and find meaningful work. A lot is happening indeed.
What support structure, just in 30 seconds if you may, what support structure is available for your alumni? Is it funding? Is it networking? You know, what is that?
For our alumni, we have a very robust support structure. And the first one you have mentioned, networking, but additional skilling, intentional upskilling, because we find that you may have passed through that space for 12 months through the fellowship, and you are in that pool. But the demand we are getting also informs what we train you on and where your interest lies. So not only do we coach you and train you and prepare you, we also give you the opportunity to also network. So there will be job fairs, there will be interviews. We are going to put them in your face. When you go to our website, you'll find, you do by the click of a button, you'll find a fellow and you pick exactly what suits your taste.
Many thanks, Claire, for sharing your personal experience. I'm sure that would inspire a young person, you know, watching. Very brilliant. And of course, we wish you the very best. Claire Henshaw, Project Manager, NGAFP, United Nations Development Program, UNDP. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for coming. Of course, Massimo De Luca, who is already a Nigerian, Head of Cooperation European Union Delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS. Thank you so much, and thank you for the support. We hope that you sustain it. Akubo Adegbe, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Delivery and Coordination, Office of the Vice President. Thank you for this great initiative, and we hope to see much more for older people. Of course.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's our package on Good Morning Nigeria this Tuesday. A brilliant one. Many thanks for being a part of it. Leave it locked on the NTA.
All right. And your name is Henry John?
Okay, remind me.
I'm Victor, so I'll see you again tomorrow.